All right, welcome back, everyone. It is Talk Back on a Monday. I'm Al Portermont along with Stephen Maxwell. Very pleased to be joined in studio by a gentleman by the name of Greg Ganier. He's a disabled Navy veteran from the Vietnam era and now a veteran advocate. And he's the founder of Veterans Corner Incorporated, a Louisiana-based 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit established in 2015 to serve and empower a veteran community. Good morning, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Nice to be here with you guys.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Nice to have you with us. And we wanted to do this with tomorrow being Veterans Day. To talk a little bit about your organization, your background, why you do this, what kind of things you do. So, again, thank you for driving up from the Lafayette area.
Well, I want to be here to be with you guys to share this information with the veteran community and the community as a whole. Because anything that impacts the veteran, it also impacts the veteran community as well.
Sure.
So what I do is that, well, give a little bit of context, is that as a Vietnam vet that I started out in 1970 after leaving the military back then, and in 2012, I started working with the Louisiana Workforce Commission as a vet rep. And because of that position, I gained insight into the Department of Veteran Affairs. And what I found is that there are programs and processes and information and even opportunities that veterans are not even aware of. So in 2015, I started the nonprofit Veterans Corner to fill that gap and to provide the correct information and vital information that veterans need to have to make wise choices and decisions for their families. And in doing so, what I do video interviews with national leaders, state, local leaders, nonprofit organizations, agencies, businesses, to share that information with the veteran community, because everybody that I've talked to since I started back then has always been the same answer. The veterans, the VA is a problem. It's hard to work with them. So for me, I guess you can say I could criticize the VA, because of my own personal experiences. And I left the Navy in 1970, and when I went to my last physical with the VA at the hospital in New Orleans, and after my physical, I told the doctor, I said, look, I guess I'll be back here when I'm sick. And the doctor said, no, you won't. I said, what do you mean, no, you won't? He said, for you to come to this hospital, you have to be halfway dead.
Really?
I said, my goodness, you can't. Look, I just got back from Vietnam. You could tell me you can't serve me? And he just walked away.
Really?
And
Wow.
Ever since then, really, just to get into the health system, the VA finally let me in 2010, 40 years later.
What? Wow.
So I guess, I can criticize and be angry about the VA. And also, when I purchased my home in 1973, in 1989, of course, during the 80s, as you remember, Al, that the economy crashed. And I had a subcontracting company with 10 guys working. We were rocking and rolling. But the general contractors that I was working with went bankrupt and forced my business and my wife and I into personal bankruptcy. Try to raise 4 kids with zero income is kind of tough. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to have anyone, especially veterans, go through what I went through. Because I went to the VA during that time. I said, help me stay in my home. And the VA said, go talk to the mortgage company. And they just walked away. So they disappeared on me. Mm-hmm. So understand is that for me, I guess you can say I could be very critical of the VA, but I'm not. And I was proud to serve this country. And I just put it aside. And over the years, I gained insight talking to other veterans of my era. I can understand why a lot of veterans of the Vietnam era don't want to have anything to do with the VA or even with the government, because they prefer being homeless because of what we went through and how they treated us. So for me, getting involved with the Louisiana Workforce Commission gave me an opportunity to see if I could make a difference in the veterans' lives. And in doing so, I did change some lives. But at the same time, I got to hear their stories. And even with the current young veterans that's coming out of the military, they don't have all the information whenever they come out of who can they contact and help them. I mean, I had people, young men getting out of the military as on a medical discharge and right out of Fort Polk back then. And he said, Greg, I never knew you were here. Well, guess what? As a veteran counselor or VSO officer, we were in every parish, but yet he was not even aware that we even existed. So we sat down there and we talked, and I tried to help him, which I did, but he went to a for-profit lawyer rather than come to us. Well, he lost about 1/3 of his income once he got his benefits. But it's things like that that I've heard over the years. So it's not just the beginning, but the Vietnam vets really got the bad end of the apple at that time. Because I'll put it like this. At that time, America honored our men and women in uniform.
Sure.
And they tell us they support veterans and thank you for your service and wave the American flag. But and also they also do it on social media. Well, back then there wasn't that much social media. But the thing was this, is that when the veteran came home, the veteran reached out for America to help him. America disappeared. And that's hard to swallow. But it happened to the Vietnam vets. But at the same time, though, now at this present time, I found that the VA kind of disappeared with the Gulf War veterans.
Yeah.
Because the government just created the PAC Act. Well, the PAC Act allowed veterans of the Gulf Wars to now apply for presumptive diseases because of the burn pits and everything else, and also for chemicals. But it also allowed the Navy 90,000 plus veterans to now qualify for presumptive diseases as well.
Yeah, I remember I had a friend that was in the Gulf War, and he developed what a lot of them did. They called it Gulf War syndrome.
Yes.
And with him, it was kind of, I'm trying to think what it was similar to, but just more a lot of kind of almost digestive issues and things like that. And he thinks it's some of what they might have injected them with at the time, for sure.
Well, actually, like in the Gulf War, they had burn pits. They were burning everything in it. I mean, chemicals, rubber, whatever they could do, they burned everything in a pit. So you don't know what you were getting, okay? But I also found out, too, that they were doing the same thing in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Besides Agent Orange being sprayed to
Right.
kill the foliage, and the Vietnam vets got contacted because it dropped on them as well, those who were on land. But then the VA did not consider the Navy veterans to be in contact with the Agent Orange.
Well, we even heard about a year or two ago, they had a lot of ads for if you were stationed at Camp Lejeune and the water.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So,
Well, the reason why that's happening because you got lawyers who want to make money on it.
well, I know that, yeah.
Okay, but you don't hear anything that I can hands on that the government is promoting it on TV or radio, letting the community veterans know that what is available. To me, they're doing it using the trickle-down system, where the VSO at the end, working with the veteran on an individual basis, have the information, but the VSO officer is so backed up with cases, and he just deals with the problem, and once the problem is solved, the next veteran comes in. But he doesn't tell anybody of all of the changes and everything else that is made because there's too much information. Mm-hmm. But why don't the government allow you to talk? Well, I've tried to get veterans in the VA to talk with me, and in the past they did. But ever since COVID, things changed, and I've asked the VA a couple of times to allow me to get information or do video interviews with the different departments. And so far, I mean, I've been refused to do that. Now, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but the thing is, that's what I've gone through, and trying to reach out. So if I'm wrong, I tell the VA I'm here to help veterans. That's what Veterans Corner was created for, to serve veterans, and in doing so, to make a difference in their lives. But I don't understand why the VA says no for information, and I'm telling them, I will not ask you questions that will put the VA in a bad light or negative environment or negative light. You tell me the questions to ask you. I want information. That's what I want, information to be shared with the veteran community. And for some reason, at this time, the way this culture is right now, they don't want to do that.
I know when Trump was president the first time around, they said they were making a lot of changes with the VA to better serve veterans. Of course, you mentioned the COVID era, which started with Trump, continued with Biden. Are you seeing any signs now with Trump back in office that things are looking to improve, especially with...
Well, I'll put it like this. Things started to change when the 40 veterans during several years ago that died just waiting for appointments out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
That became public. And in doing so, the VA started to change. And things have gotten better. Don't get me wrong. I can criticize the VA for a lot of things, but things are changing. But they're changing at a snail's pace, you see. So I don't understand that. But
Well, it's government. It's bureaucracy.
yes, it is. And I'm sorry to say that sometimes the biggest problem is the VA itself, because why won't they share the information and put it out in the public? But I believe
Have you worked with the VA here in Alexandria, which is in Pineville? Because I do hear we have had veterans call into this show and talk about how they have been helped out there and that they have not good service.
Well, I'll put it like this. Since my, I guess, initiations into the system in 2010, I have been served. I can't complain about the service.
Right.
They have helped me in so many ways, and they've helped other veterans. And that's one thing I can actually say. I appreciate the VA for what they're doing to help me, but they're also doing it for other veterans. But yet there are still veterans out there that are still fighting claims. 1, 2, 3 years. And some I've talked to say they're still fighting over 10, 15 years, still fighting the same claims. Yeah. But that's another story.
Yeah. I remember we did have a gentleman here 7 or 8 years ago. His name is slipping my mind right now. But remember he had kind of a major case against the VA when his father died while in their care. Maybe the name will come to me, but you do hear from time to time things that go wrong. Obviously, for others, they do seem to have a favorable opinion, I guess.
Yeah. I can understand that. The only thing I can say to that is that the biggest problem is just getting into the system.
Yeah.
Now, once that is accomplished, then you file your claims and everything else. But sometimes, like even with filing the claims, I found out because of my own personal experience, where it may have to go through 10 different people before you even get it approved.
Yeah.
And I can tell you how it went to me, okay? Like when I filed a claim, my veteran doctor, our primary doctor had to recommend that I get a certain type of procedure. Well, he submitted it to community care here in the Alexandria area. Well, they have to approve it. But guess what? There's also a waiting list. It may take time. Then once they get to you, they contact me and says, we want to help you, so we can find a doctor. So now they're looking for a doctor. Once they get the doctor, if the doctor says yes, then the community care have to submit a certificate giving them approval to even see me. And then once it goes to the doctor has to call you, and it might be 2 weeks or whatever. They might put you on a waiting list, okay? And then once that's done, then he will tell community care that they're going to service me. And then the community care calls me and says, yes, Greg, we approved it. Well, why do you have to go through all that press? Why do you have to go through all that mess? That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. If your primary doctor says he needs it and you submit it, approve it. But what gets me, though, is that veterans, when we raise our hand to the American flag and we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we become government property. And we have no say-so about where we go or how we dress, you name it. We are their property to use us at their will, okay? And a lot of veterans are doing this proudly to preserve our freedom, okay? But it's only when we come home and ask, really, when I say the American public, where's the American public? I'm looking at Congress. Why Congress have to go through all this to help veterans? We should automatically receive, if you're a veteran, you should receive services no matter what, okay? The way I see it, if I put my life on the line, whenever they send veterans into a hostile area, well, we feel like we're going there for freedom. But at the same time, we also fight to just live, okay? And then we come back home, and then we have to fight to survive in a country we fought to protect.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's insane. Yes, sir. John, we need to take a break right now. Again, we're talking with Greg Ganier. He is with the organization Veterans Corner Incorporated. All right, once again, we're talking with Greg Ganier. He is the founder of Veterans Corner. It's a program to help assist veterans as they navigate different federal programs, especially through the VA. And one of the things I know that you have recently started is what you call your pilot home program for veterans. Tell us more about that.
Well, the pilot home program is based upon my own experience. But to give you an idea of how it all started, Veterans Corner was approached, or rather invited, to do a community and economic development proposal. And we did, and for myself, I thought it was never going to pass. But they approved it. They approved to build 4,800 homes here in Louisiana, in all 64 parishes. Well, I was informed that the first installment was coming in to start building the homes. That day came and went. And I said, what happened? They said, well, Greg, somebody threw a wrench in the works and just killed the whole deal. So I'm saying, wow, that doesn't make any sense. You approved the thing and then somebody killed it? Doesn't make any sense. Well, because of that and my own experience, when I had my home in 1973, and I bought my home through the GI Bill, in the 1980s, when the economy hit the skids, I guess you can say, a downturn, I lost my home. Well, I lost my home, and I went to the VA and asked them to help me stay in my home. Like I said before, they just walked away. Go talk with the mortgage company. Well, because of that, this program started out. And one of the conditions with this community development was that you had to show how you could sustain the program without going back to them every year for additional money. Well, that was a major hurdle we had to clear. Well, I showed them how I could do it, and they approved it. Well, right now, I'm starting Veterans Corner over again. But right now, I want to build one home for veterans. And in doing so, I want Louisiana to partner with Veterans Corner just to help me build this home, make it come to fruition, where I'm asking $5 a month for 12 months, or a $60 one-time fee. And for about 5,000 people, supporters, veteran supporters in Louisiana, to do that, and that would raise about $300,000. Well, the $300,000 would go toward the building of the home. And in doing so, all donations that comes to Veterans Corner, of course it is tax deductible, but the big thing is though, all that money goes directly into an escrow account for the home building account. And it will stay there until we reach that goal. And once that goal is reached, then we would more or less build the home. And some people say, well, where are you going to build it? I said, well, first we have to reach the 300,000 mark
Right.
to make it happen. And also, 100% of all the donations will go towards the building account, the building of the home. That doesn't happen in a lot of nonprofits.
That's right.
And a certain percentage goes to project, and a portion of it goes to administrative costs. Well, with us, and because of my own personal experience, I'm saying 100% going to go towards it. Now, once a donation is made to Veterans Corner, your $5, you have the right, whether you're an individual or an entity, to come into our house and audit the building account to make sure that all money is going towards the project. None of the money will be going towards administrative costs. And that in itself is not heard of. And just because you have the right, what that does, it opens up transparency to Louisiana. Because there are three words that's very trust, accountability, and transparency. The transparency is allowing me to come into our office and audit our savings account. But the thing is, though, in doing that, it creates not only transparency, it creates accountability. And those two words would then go towards the trust factor. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what I have to prove to people. Because to be honest with you, the program that I'm offering sounds too good to be true. Because think of it, a veteran goes into a home through us. If that veteran happens to lose his job, well, guess what? We will waiver the principal and interest. Not the insurance side, but it's a smaller portion, but the principal and interest. Why? Because he needs help at that time. For us, we'll be with him, we'll help him, work with him to find a job. If it takes 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, as long as we know he is committed to helping himself to find a job, we're right there with them. That's how you help someone. You don't step on them once they're down in the dumps. Okay? The same thing applies to workers' compensation. Get hurt on the job. Well, we will waive the principal and interest. And in doing so, again, we will work with them. Once they get back up on their feet, that's when they start making payments. What happens if cancer arrives, which causes you to have long-term care? Well, your income drops. Well, we will renegotiate and bring it down to a point where you may pay maybe $100 or $200 a month based upon your situation. We never want to foreclose on a veteran, and that's the biggest thing. Because what I went through, I don't want anybody to go through that, especially veterans. Because we have sacrificed our blood, sweat, and tears for this country, and I believe we deserve everything that we are supposed to get. Supposedly, there's a veterans law. Well, the veterans law is just a promise to take care of us. Well, if we've done our best, we've put our lives on the line, help us, okay? And that's all I'm looking for. But a program like this sounds too good to be true. And what happens if your job requires you to move away? Well, we will cancel the debt as long as you leave the home in good condition with no repairs, that the next veteran can come in and do it. And if we have enough funds, we will ask you, do you want us to build you a home where you're going or buy your home in those? in that area just to stay on the same program. This program is designed, it's a legacy that I'm trying to build. It's not just for today. The veterans today, their children, their grandchildren, possibly great-grandchildren will be affected by this program. The thing is, there's not that many programs out there that would help veterans because you have programs for individuals, or say grants for individuals, grants for disabled individuals, and grants for the homeless. But you don't hear anything out there, any type of grant for the veteran with a family, young veteran, or even the middle class with family. There's nothing out there like that for them. Now, even though the program is open to all veterans, we kind of target those areas because of my own personal experience. I had raised 4 kids, and believe me, it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't easy. In doing so, at one decade, I had 3 kids in college for a decade, and we had to go through all that mess. So, for me, veterans deserve the respect and honor, and in doing so, this program might sound too good to be true, but all I can tell you, for me, I'm an open book. If you think I'm doing this for funds, then show me where I'm trying to get. I'm gonna gain funds out of this, or say a financial gain. Because since the beginning, I have been footing the bill financially, and even though I've been on talk show, radio host, traveling, even like coming here, I'm coming here on my own expenses again, and I'm advertising on TV. I'm going around the state. I mean, nobody's paying me this. It's coming out of my own money. But to me, this is a personal commitment, but in this personal commitment, I developed this program for homes for veterans, but I can't do this financially. I need Louisiana to work with Veterans Corner. And every time a donation comes in, we will record it. We'll put it on our website that we put up for the month and what the balance is. And right now, a lot of people are sending one-time payments of $5.
Well.
But I think what it is that they're saying, let me see first if they're going to actually do what they say. Well, you can check my website, www.veteranscorner.vet, and there's a section that shows you the monthly income as well as the total in the account. And right now, for ending of October, we have over $1,000. Well, I'm hoping that the $5 people will try to say, I'm willing to do this $5 on a monthly basis. But it takes time, and it gives Veterans Corner the opportunity to convince Louisiana supporters of veterans to get involved with us on a partnership basis. So I don't know what else to say about that, but
Well, good, because we got to take a break.
Okay.
Right back. All right, we are back, and once again, our guest is Greg Ganier. He is with the program, which is called Veterans Corner, veteranscorner.vet. You can go there if you'd like to make a donation to support the efforts. We talked a little bit about the pilot home program. What are some of the other services that you offer for veterans?
Well, I'll put it like this.
Actually, before you get to that, we have a call coming in. Can we
Okay.
take that? 'Cause
Yeah,
they've been
go
waiting
ahead.
for a little
Yeah,
bit. My
yeah.
bad. Our BOM Bank talk line is 318-442-8255. Thanks for waiting. You're on Talkback.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what you're saying, I agree with, but I hate to tell you, there are programs out there that does that. But to find them, that's the problem. And I run across many veterans, young veterans, who tell me, say, Greg, I did not know this existed. Well, the VA changed all right, but to try to work with the veteran before he gets in trouble, the VA, as far as I'm concerned, don't do that. It's just that simple. You have the right idea, and I agree with you, and I wish it would happen like that. But reality, or put it like this, supposedly reality, veterans are supposed to get first preference. Well, that's just a myth because it doesn't happen. We are in the same situation like everybody else. And all I can say is the veterans are coming to me for employment, for housing, for whatever their needs are. Some needs, veterans are saying they've been fighting their claims for years, and the VA is still not working with them. So I appreciate your ideas, and I agree with them. But in reality, information is out there, but to find it is the problem. What I normally do when people ask me for help, I find out what their problem is, and I try to direct them to the right people. In the past, I was doing this, but nowadays they got many nonprofits. They're doing the same. It's like redundancy. Everybody's doing the same thing. Well, I try to do a little bit different. I do the same thing, but if I can't help you right then and there, I will direct you. My focus right now is not only to help the veteran to meet their needs, but I'm trying to focus on one area with the young veterans and the middle class veterans with families. And even though the program is designed for all veterans, I'm targeting those veterans because of what I faced going through in the years. If I can, I'll put it like this. The American Legion, which I'm a member of, have been in existence over 100 years, and yet we are still fighting Congress to get our benefits. Why is that? If somebody could tell me that answer, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But why are we fighting the problems that veterans face? And for me, just to give you an idea, it's taken the PAC Act to give 90,000 veterans, 90+ thousand veterans, the opportunity to apply for presumptive diseases through the PAC Act. Well, it has taken 50 years just to allow those 90,000 plus Navy veterans into the system for that claim. So I don't know how long VA is going to take to make that step that you asked. I don't know, but that's a program we should initiate, because to me, once you raise your hand, you become government property, they should take care of us, period. There should be no waiting list and everything else. But consider our budget nowadays, what, $6 trillion or $7 trillion, whatever it is, just to take care of the veterans, all the veterans, maybe a couple of $1 billion, small amount. But yet the VA doesn't want to do that, to take us, as you can say, just as we are. We go into the military healthy. Yeah. We come out maybe broken up. And then when we get older, like I am, I'm a senior citizen, and we got to fight for it. It doesn't make any sense. I'm hoping that the VA will change and allow every veteran, and like you said, sir, to give them like preemptive maintenance, I guess you can say, to take care of you before issues get worse. But for right now, we have to fight for every benefit that we can get. And if you apply for a claim right now, there's a very good percentage, say 100%, that your claim will be denied. It's just that simple. Wow. Then you go for an appeal. You got to go through 3 different appeals. Well, if you go to the first appeal, it may take a year. And then once that, if it comes down negative, you can go to the second appeal. And if that comes down negative, then you got to go to the Board of Veteran Affairs, the last appeal. And it's up to them whether or not you're going to get it. But by that time, it might be 3-4 years, you know? Yeah. And for right now, take like the Vietnam vets. A lot of the Vietnam vets have died. Well, their spouses, some of them may not have remarried, but they're still there. But guess what? They should be getting spousal support. Well, the spouse doesn't know what's going on with the VA, so they're out there fighting there to live as like everybody else. But why is that so? I don't understand that. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions and a lot of answers that need to be answered by the VA, and yet, but for me, the VA is changing, but it's just taking time, you know.
All right. Well, Willie, speaking of time, we need to take another break. We'll come back with more with Greg. All right. Well, we're sorry about that. We had a technical issue with our computer that runs the program, and as you heard, we were off the air for a little while. And we had a long commercial break. That leaves us with about 20 seconds with our guest, Greg Ganier, veteranscorner.vet. And that's what I want to reemphasize, veteranscorner.vet, if people would like to get involved.
Yes. Well, you can get involved by going to the veteranscorner.vet. Go to the donation page and give you information. In fact, go through our whole website and you'll see what we're trying to do. Yeah. As far as for the home program, I want to let people know that just because people have served or become veterans, they're not guaranteed a home.
Right.
It's up to the mortgage company whether or not they want to deal with a veteran, and that's when the VA will give the approval for them to have the home. But other than that, it's up to the mortgage company.
Yeah.
You know, so in summary-wise, make veterans first, America. That's what our slogan is. And that's what Veterans Corner is all about.
All right. Greg Ganier, Veterans Corner, thank you so much for coming up here today. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much for being here.
Yes, sir. All right. It's Veterans Day tomorrow. It'll be Nathan and Stephen with you. Have a blessed day, everyone.